In this video, we're going to walk through the process of drafting a request for information, or RFI, a key tool in construction project communication when something on the plans or in the field needs clarification or resolution. RFIs are typically submitted to the design team when an issue arises that can't just be resolved with a quick phone call or email. These are formal requests that ensure all stakeholders, owners, architects, engineers, and contractors are informed of a potential issue, its impact, and the resolution. Often, an RFI is triggered by a detail that's unclear, missing, or simply not buildable as shown in the drawings, and the response can have broader implications for cost, schedule, or scope. So it's important to get it right. Project example. Let's look at a real-world example from a project I worked on a few years ago. This case shows how an unexpected condition during construction prompted an RFI that absolutely needed to be documented. The township was investing in rebuilding this structure using split-face concrete masonry units, CMU, but the design team attempted to reuse part of the existing CMU structure, likely to reduce costs. The problem? One large, unattractive section of exposed block would have been clearly visible from the front elevation, the first thing you'd see when arriving at the site. That wasn't going to work. Understanding the existing conditions. First, let's take a look at the original drawings and some photos from the demolition phase to understand how the building was originally constructed and what the design team intended. Here's what we were working with. The left side of the building, about 2/3 of the total width, had overhead doors and steel framing, clad in insulated metal panels. It was a high bay, single-story garage space. The right side, the remaining third, was an older 2-story structure made of 8-inch CMU block, with steel columns inside and exterior metal panel cladding. The design intent was to demolish most of the left side, including all structural steel and equipment, down to the 4-foot concrete retaining wall. The right side would remain, and new block walls would be built above and alongside it. The plan called for a 6-inch CMU veneer to cover the old block and 12 split-face CMU for the new construction. Each section would have its own independent roofing system. Demolition and discovery. As demolition progressed, the crews carefully separated the structural steel framing on the left from the block structure on the right. Once that was removed, the left side was quickly demolished and hauled away. The result was a clean foundation to start building the new split-face block enclosure. Block installation began, and everything looked good, until someone noticed a problem. One section of the old CMU wall, which was meant to remain, would now be fully exposed from the outside. Even worse, the roofline of the adjacent new structure was well below the top of this wall, leaving that unattractive, exposed section fully visible from the entry elevation. And that's when it became clear an RFI needed to be submitted. Writing the RFI. Let's go through the actual RFI I wrote for this issue. I'll walk you through the key components you should always include in a well-drafted RFI. 1. Header. Start with a bold header, request for information. This signals that the document is formal and should be treated as such. 2. Project info. Below the header, list the project number, the project name/title. This keeps the RFI tied to the right job in everyone's records. 3. Submitting party. Next, list your company name. In this case, we were the general contractor. Include your name and contact information as the person submitting the RFI, along with anyone else being copied, like your supervisor or project executive. 4. Recipients. Address the RFI to the design team. Here, that was the architectural firm, along with the 2 project contacts from their side. Also include the client, in this case, the township, and list their representatives. Everyone who might be impacted by the question or answer should be included. 5. Numbering and dates. All RFIs should be numbered in sequence. This makes it easy to track them and reference them later. The submission date is also important. Most contracts require the design team to respond within a reasonable time frame, and the date helps protect your team from delays outside your control. 6. Summary of the issue. This is the heart of the RFI. Write a clear, concise summary of the issue you're raising. In this case, I described the concern that a large section of existing CMU wall, not scheduled to receive a new veneer, would be visibly exposed due to the lowered roof elevation of the new adjacent structure. Let's read the summary as I wrote it. While layout for masonry walls was taking place, our interpretation is that one portion of what was the interior wall of the second-story CMU structure to remain did not call out for new fluted split-face veneer. The new stair tower wall, which is shown in detail 5A1 of the addendum drawing, shows the new block that will show above the lower garage. Parapet wall from the west elevation is fluted split face. This wall only extends 22 feet 8 inches of the overall width of 44 feet 6 inches. As per wall detail 10/A6, the existing CMU is to remain at the current height of 20 foot above the existing foundation wall, then the bond beam and the parapet wall, with the garage elevation at the west elevation being 18 feet 8 inches off the existing grade, and the remaining 20 feet 10 inches width of the building being at 24 foot off finished grade with the bond beam/parapet wall only beginning on top of that, That means that an area of roughly 20 feet 10 inches wide x 6 foot tall of the existing interior green painted CMU wall, including 3 sections of steel beam from previous roof structure, will be exposed when coming down the hill. See attached drawings for reference. If our interpretation is correct, how should we proceed? We would have a couple different options. 1. Try to clean up existing block/steel, paint to match new fluted block. 2. Remove this portion of block and steel, install new 8-inch CMU, paint to match. 3. Remove this portion of block and steel, install new 8-inch split-face fluted CMU. 4. Install some sort of wall panel over this portion of block. This falls right in line with the control joint between the existing building and the new building, which ties everything together, and if you install the metal wall panel, there would be nothing to hide the side profile of that material. Note, it is a good practice to suggest a solution to the problem or an alternative way to move forward, as I did at the end of the summary here. One thing you should always try to do is offer some sort of a solution for the design team to approve or deny or clarify. Offering a solution helps get your preferred method consideration and saves everyone time. It also helps communication and does not come across like you're just searching out problems to slow things down. Seven. Attachments. Reference relevant photos, sketches, and drawing details in the body, and include them as attachments. Visual context goes a long way in helping the design team understand the issue and respond accurately. Looking at the first page, we've got the proposed floor plan, which is the first reference for the areas we're talking about in the summary. You'll notice that I've got all of the wall section details marked up, and when we go to the next pages, we will reference those views to locate and describe the problem. The first wall section here shown at the new 2-story stair tower wall is not a problem. This is correct and will not lead to any unwanted exterior finish because it calls for new 12-inch split-face block and parapet wall above the new roof elevation. I included a site photo here from the west elevation as the block was first being laid on the existing foundation wall. The rectangular markup that I drew on the photo is the approximate area of where the issue would occur if we had moved forward per the drawing details. In other words, that ugly portion of wall would be visible above the garage roof line and stand out as an eyesore amongst all of the new split-face block exterior. The next detail shows the precise location of the problem. They call out existing CMU wall and plan to build on top of it with a bond beam and several courses of new split-face block and parapet wall. You can see these several carrees of block are above the roof line and would be visible, and the new split-face block doesn't start until this portion and extends upwards. This should pretty clearly demonstrate the issue. At this time, I had just become more comfortable with drafting, and I went way beyond the necessary details to draw the problem on my own with colors to demonstrate the issue, as you can see here. This is sort of embarrassing looking back on it. Haha, I've gotten far better in the years since, but I will say it gets the point across if there was still any doubt remaining that they didn't understand what I was saying. I submitted this document as RFI 003, and we received a timely response that acknowledged the problem and they approved a version of our proposed solution. That was the ideal outcome. Final thoughts. Drafting a strong RFI is all about clarity, professionalism, and documentation. When done right, an RFI protects your project, your team, and your timeline. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, consider liking and subscribing. We've got more construction management and estimating walkthroughs coming soon.